You know how it is these days? Everyone seems laser focused on feeling their best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hitting fitness goals, eating cleaner, or, just staying properly hydrated.
Absolutely. It's a huge topic.
And if you're like me, you want the inside scoop on these trends, but maybe without wading through tons of jargon.
Yeah, it's about cutting through the noise, really,
Yeah,
finding out what actually matters and where things are genuinely heading.
exactly. And that's precisely what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into uh, a really interesting slice of this whole health and wellness wave,
Mm-hmm.
the global market for electrolyte mixes.
Mm.
It's got our hands on a recent market report packed with details on where this industry is now and where it's going. Think of this as your shortcut,
Yeah.
your quick guide to a market that's definitely moving.
Yeah, our mission here is basically to pull out the most crucial insights from this pretty dense report, those surprising facts, the big projections, so you get the picture without needing to spend hours crunching the numbers yourself.
All right, let's kick things off with a pretty big number then. This report, it's saying the global electrolyte mixes market is projected to hit USD 5,980 million in 2025.
Wow.
That's already a pretty substantial market.
It is, yeah. And the growth forecast is what really catches the eye. The report projects it'll balloon to, get this, USD $1,006 and 6.30 million by 2033.
Okay, 13 billion. And here's where it gets really interesting, that leap. It represents a compound annual growth rate, or AGR, of 10.20% from 2025 to 2033.
Right.
Now, for anyone maybe not totally familiar with market stuff, that CAGR number, it essentially tells you the average yearly growth rate expected over that whole period.
And double-digit growth sustained like that in a market this size.
It definitely makes you pay attention.
It really does.
Exactly. It signals strong, ongoing expansion. And it's driven by a mix of factors we should probably look at more closely.
Okay, let's unpack that. What are the key forces pushing this impressive growth? Well, the report points to several big ones. First and foremost, just rising health awareness globally. People are, taking a much more active role in their own well-being.
That makes sense.
And they're recognizing how fundamental proper hydration and electrolyte balance actually are.
It does feel like there's a much broader understanding now, doesn't it,
Yeah,
about how what we consume affects us.
totally. And this awareness is growing right alongside an increase in lifestyle-related issues like, well, dehydration and fatigue. In our fast-paced world, people are actively looking for easy, effective solutions.
So electrolyte mixes are sort of stepping into that gap,
Yeah.
offering a convenient fix.
In many ways, yeah. But it's not just about fixing a problem. The market's also getting a huge boost from the wider availability of really appealing, innovative flavors.
Right.
It makes these mixes much more attractive than just a, purely functional drink. Plus, the packaging convenience, think single-serve sachets, easy-to-use bottles, that's a major plus too.
I've definitely seen way more flavors lately. And those little stick packs, super convenient to just toss in a bag.
For sure. And we can't forget the growing popularity of fitness and sports worldwide. More people exercising means more demand for products that help with hydration and recovery. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so it's this combination then. More health-aware consumers, the demands of busy lives leading to dehydration, better tasting and more convenient products, and a thriving fitness culture. That paints a pretty clear picture of why the growth is so strong.
Hmm.
Now, let's zoom in a bit. Different parts of the world. Where are these mixes really taking off right now?
Geographically speaking, North America is currently the big player. It accounts for over 40% of the global revenue.
40%.
Yeah. Their market size in 2025 is estimated at USD 212.60 million, and the projection is a CAGR of 9.0% through 2033.
Over $2 billion already.
Oh.
That's significant. How does it break down within North America?
Well, the U.S. is the main driver in the region, with a market size of USD 1745.74 million in 2025. Their CAGR is about 8.8%. Canada's next, with a 2025 market of USD 265.51 million, but actually a slightly higher projected CAGR, 9.8%.
Oh, interesting. Canada's growth is a bit faster. Any reason why?
The report mentions increasing adoption there, partly because of more frequent intense heat waves.
Right. That makes sense. Environmental factors playing a role.
Exactly. And Mexico is also significant, with a 2025 market size of USD 201.35 million and a KGR of 9.5%. So yeah, North America is definitely leading.
Okay, North America is the current leader. What about across the pond in Europe?
Europe holds the second largest share, over 30% globally. The market size there is pegged at USD 1734.0 million in 2025, with a projected CGR of 9.2%.
So still very substantial. A bit smaller than North America, but not by a huge amount.
No, not at all. Still a major market.
Which countries in Europe are the main drivers?
Well, the UK has a pretty significant market, USD 291.35 million in 2025, and a strong CGR of 10.0%. The report links that to rising sports participation. Germany is another key player, valued at USD 343.37 million in 2025, CAGR 9.4%. And there, it seems driven by a preference for natural and sugar-free options.
That natural sugar-free thing feels like a recurring theme, doesn't it?
It really does. We see it popping up again and again.
What about other major European countries?
France, Italy, Russia, Spain. They're all noteworthy, too. Their 2025 market sizes are mostly in the, say, $140 to $270 million range, with CAGRs between 8% and 8.6%.
Right.
And the report also gives numbers for places like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and the rest of Europe, all showing steady growth, really, wide adoption.
So pretty widespread acceptance across Europe, too. Okay, let's shift focus eastward. What's happening in Asia-Pacific?
Asia-Pacific currently holds about 23% of the global market share. That's a size of USD 1435.2 million in 2025. But here's the kicker.
Yep.
This region is projected to have the fastest CAGR, a really remarkable 13.1% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, okay. The fastest growth is expected there. That's definitely a dynamic to watch. Which countries are leading that charge?
China is a major force, no surprise. Market size of USD 602.78 million in 2025, CAGR of 12.6%. That's linked to urbanization and, busy lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
But India really stands out. It has the fastest national CAGR at 15.0%.
15%.
15%, yeah. With a 2025 market size of USD 143.52 million. It just highlights the rapidly growing demand there. Probably fueled by a growing middle class, more disposable income, bigger focus on health.
That is a phenomenal read for India.
It certainly is. Signals a big shift in consumer habits. Japan and South Korea also have substantial markets, CAGRs around 11-12%. And then Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, the rest of APAC, all contributing to that really strong regional growth.
Okay, so while North America and Europe lead in current size,
Yeah,
Asia-Pacific is definitely the one to watch for future growth potential.
absolutely.
What about the rest of the world? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Right. South America accounts for just over 5% share globally. Market size of USD 227.24 million in 2025, CAGR of 10.6%. Brazil and Argentina are key there. The Middle East is around 2% share, estimated at USD 239.2 million in 2025, with a CAGR of 10.7%.
Yep.
Saudi Arabia, UAE are notable there. And Africa currently has about 1% share, market size, USD 131.56 million in 2025. The CAGR is a bit more modest, 6.3%. South Africa is a significant market within the continent.
Got it. So smaller shares currently, but still showing some decent growth, especially the Middle East and South America.
Exactly. Promising trajectories.
Now let's dig into the market segmentation. How are these mixes sold? What forms are most popular?
Okay, yeah. The market gets sliced a few ways by product type, packaging, and also electrolyte concentration. So looking at type first, powder is currently the most common form.
That makes sense. Easy to store, transport. You can kind of customize how much you use.
Precisely. Convenience, long shelf life, that customization, all key advantages. But the report highlights that the ready-to-drink options, they're actually seeing the fastest growth in this category.
The RTDs.
Yeah. Probably reflects that increasing demand for just ultimate convenience, especially for people with active lifestyles. Grab and go.
Ready to drink definitely caters to that immediate need, doesn't it? Especially out and about.
Absolutely. Instant hydration. Ideal for workouts, travel, whatever. Now, thinking about how they're packaged.
Right, packaging. What are the main formats?
Plastic bottles hold the biggest share right now, largely due to, practicality. They're durable, cost-effective, easy to carry, resealable.
You see them everywhere for these kinds of drinks.
Yeah, sure.
Are other formats gaining ground?
Yes, the pouches and sachets segment is expanding quickly.
The single servings.
Exactly. That portability, the single-serve design.
Yeah.
It's a huge draw. Lines up perfectly with that on-the-go trend we talked about. Plus, you get precise dosage and maybe even a sustainability angle, potentially less waste than bigger containers if they're designed well.
Those individual packets are definitely super convenient. Okay, what about the actual electrolytes? The concentration. How's the market split there?
Right, concentration. The 600 milligram segment currently has the largest market share.
Okay.
That range is generally seen as sort of the optimal balance for everyday hydration and recovery. for a wide range of people, kind of the sweet spot for general use.
Seems like a good middle ground for most folks. Are there higher concentration segments growing too?
Yep. The 600 1,000 milligram segment is growing rapidly. These higher concentration mixes are often preferred by, say, serious athletes, people doing really strenuous activity.
Right, needing more replenishment.
Exactly. They need that more significant boost to replace lost electrolytes.
So different concentrations are really tailored to specific needs, specific exertion levels. Makes total sense. Now, with all this growth, are there any roadblocks? Anything holding the market back?
The report does flag a couple of restraining factors. One significant one is simply the cost.
Ah, yeah.
These mixes can be relatively expensive compared to, traditional sports drinks or just plain water. That price point can be a barrier, especially in more price-sensitive regions.
That's a fair point. The extra cost might make some people hesitate.
For sure. And also, while the trend now is towards healthier options, there were maybe some earlier concerns about artificial additives or high sugar content in some products.
Right.
That might have affected consumer trust a bit initially, but the market is definitely actively working to address those concerns now.
Okay. And what about key trends shaping the future here?
Well, we're seeing a really big surge in demand for clean label and natural ingredients.
Okay, clean label.
Yeah, consumers increasingly want mixes made with things like coconut water powder, plant-based minerals. They're actively avoiding artificial sweeteners, preservatives. It reflects that whole broader shift towards more natural, transparent food and drinks.
That ties right back to that big health and wellness trend we started with, doesn't it? People want to know what's in their stuff, and they prefer it natural.
Totally. Another key trend: continued expansion of on-the-go and functional hydration solutions.
Functional hydrate.
Yeah, so innovative formats like those stick packs, dissolvable tablets, but also mixes that offer benefits beyond just electrolytes, like adding vitamins or probiotics.
So not just replacing what's lost, but adding extra health perks.
Precisely. Which kind of brings us to the competitive landscape. Who are the main companies driving this?
Yeah, always interesting to see who the key players are in a booming market.
It's definitely a highly competitive space. Lots of focus on innovation and those clean label formulas we just mentioned. Some of the leading names highlighted in the report include Sequel Natural LLC, Unilever PLC, NutriCost, GlaxoSmithKline Pleolike, Nestle SA, PepsiCo Inc., among others.
Okay, a mix of big global players and maybe more specialized brands.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that's not an exhaustive list, right? But it gives you a good sense of some key companies shaping the industry.
Gotcha. Now, before we wrap up, was there one particularly interesting detail or maybe a development from the report that really stood out to you?
What's really noteworthy is just the constant innovation. Like the report mentions Liquid YV's 2022 launched their hydration multiplier plus powdered probiotic kombucha.
Oh, interesting combo.
Right. It's a really clever example of companies blending different health benefits. Electrolytes plus probiotics for gut health, all in one, really shows that forward-thinking approach.
Electrolytes and probiotics together. Definitely tapping into multiple health priorities at once.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah. And another interesting move was Nestle Health Science acquiring Nuun.
Ah, I know Nude.
Yeah, well-known brands specializing in those functional hydration tablets. That acquisition really highlights how the major players are keen to grow their presence in this specific health and fitness hydration space. It signals a strong belief in the market's continued growth.
Those are great examples. Really shows how dynamic and innovative this market is becoming. So, okay, to bring it all together, what's the main takeaway for us?
I think the core message is that the global electrolyte mixes market is seeing really significant sustained growth. It's fueled mainly by consumers focusing more on health and fitness.
Right.
We're seeing big regional differences in size and growth rates, with Asia Pacific looking like the fastest growing region going forward. And consumer preferences are clearly shifting towards convenience, on the go, and those clean label natural products.
And it's moving beyond just basic rehydration, too, folding in those extra functional benefits, reflecting broader wellness trends.
Exactly. This market is proving to be really adaptable, really responsive to what consumers want and need for their health.
This has been incredibly insightful. It's fascinating, isn't it? How something like an electrolyte mix is part of such a complex, fast-moving global picture.
It really is.
So thinking about all these trends we've discussed, health focus, convenience, natural ingredients, functional benefits,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other areas of the wellness market might see similar growth and innovation in the next few years? Definitely gives you something to chew on.
Indeed. The health and wellness landscape is always shifting, and understanding the drivers in one area like this one, can often give you clues about where the next big wave might pop up.